Okay. I'm not going to have enough time to cover everything because in the things that I put up and the time in which I do it with, I just don't have enough time. So here's a qualifier. Everything that I'm about to say on here is a credit to the girl on the planet, and obviously credit to the girl that I love with all my heart and soul, who gave me the avatar that I'm in as a vehicle to do the things that I did while I was here. Okay, so first and foremost, this goes to Gaia. Okay, but here's what I call a frame of reference. Okay, because I realize this because I looked at all the data, all the different beings that are here in different suits, costumes as I call them. Okay, a casting call. We're all in a movie. So one of the things that I was just perusing through my own mind of things that I'm just processing information as a result of what happened here. But here's an example, okay? And this is something that structural firefighters can certainly relate to because I found out through experiencing the data of what I became aware of, what they're aware of, and what I'm aware of through how they experience who they are in comparison to how I experience who I am. Okay, so I thought about this in terms of a vehicle, comparing avatars, if you will. And if you're going to fight a spiritual war, the kind of equipment that you need to do that with that can maintain yourself for any length of time because you're always going to be under constant attack. So I'm going to give you a good example, and this is where the credit goes to the girl on the planet, okay, who gave me this, right? I'm an Indian, okay? I'm one of her children, okay? I've said that many times before. The Indians are her children. We have a deeply spiritual reverence and honor for Mother Earth. We're her children. Okay? I'm in her vehicle. So a testament of the vehicle that she gave me, okay, can be seen through the lens of somebody who gave me a performance rating, okay, which is really a compliment to her. And that was when I graduated from high school, because I grew up in Southern California and Northern California, because my dad was in the aeronautical propulsion business, okay, working on X projects. And so my first experience with a fire would have been the Bel Air fire, which I think, as I remember, was 61. My mother wanted to move out of that house, even though it was in a beautiful area of Mandeville Canyon, right, which is up near Brentwood, because she thought it was a fire trap. So we moved out of there, and guess what happened? That house was burned down in the Bel Air fire. But because of the Paseo Grande fire that happened in 1966, as I remember, which was in Orange County, that burned from Riverside all the way down to El Toro, I had an opportunity to go out and experience what it's like to chase down a wildland fire. So if you go back into the history of the U.S. Forest Service, you realize the first hotshot crews, which are 20-man crews, although I've been on a 30-man crew, where they go out and cut fire line on a forest fire. Okay, so the big difference between a structural fire, obviously, and a wildland fire has to do with the probability function. Being able to, you have to collect and then analyze more data at a high rate of speed in order to contain it, in order to minimize the amount of damage that it's doing, right? Because there's spirit in that fire. Shrieks like 1,000 freight trains. So when I decided I was going to move and migrate from CAL FIRE, okay, over to the U.S. Forest Service, because you realize that that's a larger firefighting organization, and I love to go out and fight big forest fires, okay, because there's a big spirit of fire in me, right? So anyway, it used to be back in 1972 to get on a hotshot crew, you had to have one of these long health questionnaires that an occupational doctor was required to fill out. And I remember reading it where it was telling the doctor, this particular individual is going to be exposed to long hours of smoke inhalation, right? Which means you're going to be breathing smoke all the time, going up and down hills all day long and all night long, running 35-pound chainsaws, right? Exposed to an enormous amount of contamination, okay? Going without water for long periods of time, going without food for long periods of time, going without sleep to recharge their batteries for long periods of time, which means in order for a being to even go out and do this kind of work requires somebody who's running a vehicle an avatar that's high performance. Okay? So when he looked at all the different categories, which is the criteria that he's got to check off in order for you to even be accepted to go do that job was lengthy. So when he looked at me and examined me, he said, I've never in my life ever had anybody, any male specimen, come to my office to do an examination on their physiology, their anatomy, which would be their mental and their emotional and physical fitness to go to do work like this that represented a male specimen. He said, you're the finest male specimen that I've ever had come to my office that I've examined. Well, naturally, the compliment, that goes to the girl on the planet, doesn't it? Okay? Because this is the DNA that I run is the DNA that she put together in order for me to be able to run it in order to do a job like that. Okay? That's the level at which Gaia operates. Okay? That's how creative and intelligent she is. So I don't want to be in anything less than something like that. Do you? So go look at what they do at the NCBI, the National Center for Biotechnology Information, and you begin to realize that you got genetic Frankensteins that want to change what it is she created because I know what they did to this one. Even though this one was considered by this guy's criteria the finest male specimen he'd ever examined. So imagine that you got self-repair built in, teleportation built in, right? I remember telling my doctor about 2 years ago, I was trying to open up a conduit to see how much she knew and how much time she actually spends learning about what's possible about the human physiology and anatomy, or if you will, the software, the programming, the light codes that are in there. And of course, I realized through Patty Broussard how many edit changes were done on the human genome. As I remember it, over 300,000. Okay? So this is sort of where how when you're mapping the terrain of all the different beings that are here, you're also